This kitchen looked perfect on Pinterest. And here's why you're gonna hate it by next year. I've been doing this long enough to have walked into a lot of kitchens that were renovated with the best intentions and the worst possible information. And the pattern I keep seeing is the same every time. Somebody fell in love with a photo, not a kitchen, a photo. Pinterest and Instagram are incredible tools for getting inspired. I use them too, but they are optimized for how things look on camera, not how they hold up in a real kitchen with real people cooking, real people living every single day. And that's where I come in. Today, we're gonna go through the 7 most viral kitchen trends right now, the ones flooding your algorithm, the ones in every renovation mood board. And we're gonna have an honest contractor's conversation about what they're actually like to live with. Some of these you can make work with a few adjustments. And some of these, well, you should skip entirely. By the end of this video, you'll know the difference. And that's what makes us great here at Built by Becker. Before we dive in, if you're in the middle of planning a kitchen renovation and you want a resource that helps you make decisions like a professional, instead of reacting to whatever looks good on your phone at 11 p.m., our website is built for that. Check the link in the description. If you want some ongoing guidance and real professional help, we're here for you. Number 1 on my list is Butcher Block countertops everywhere. Butcher Block is having a serious moment right now, and I get it completely. It's warm, it's neutral, it photographs, well, beautifully. And compared to stone, it's genuinely affordable. We're talking only $20 to $60 a square foot for materials versus $50 to $200 for some quartz and quartzite. On paper, it's a great deal. In a real working kitchen, it's a commitment that a lot of people aren't ready for. But here's what Pinterest never shows you. Wood is porous. It absorbs water. And the spot takes the most punishment is right next to the sink, where the Butcher Block gets the most exposure. And it struggles the most when it's wet. You need to constantly sand and seal it. You're getting water rings, swelling, and eventually rot. And it will do that from the edges. Hence, right where a sink is. So with the constant sealing, oiling monthly, and resanding, this thing is a maintenance nightmare. That's not one-time project, guys. That's a relationship with your countertop. And I'm not sure that most of us are ready for that. I know I'm not. So my honest take, Butcher Block in the right spot is a beautiful choice. Butcher Block as your primary countertop, I don't know, it's a little busy and it's a lot of maintenance. I think it would get old fast. Number 2, fluted and reeded cabinet fronts. This one is absolutely everywhere right now. And I admit, it looks great. I've installed them in tons of projects of my own. Fluted and reeded cabinet fronts are those vertical groove patterns you see on islands and lower cabinets across renovation accounts on social media everywhere. They give a kitchen a genuine texture and sophistication. Designers love them. Photographers love them. You know what they don't know? They're a nightmare to clean. Those grooves collect anything. Grease, crumbs, dust. And if you had raw protein dripping off a package anywhere near those cabinets, now you got a hygiene problem in every single channel running top to bottom. A flat cabinet front exists for a reason. A flat surface wipes clean in about 3 seconds. Fluted fronts require a brush or a cloth that you're working into each groove individually in a kitchen. Now, in a kitchen, the room in your house that generates the most grease and food debris, that's not a minor inconvenience. It adds up over time in a way that photos, they never show. Number 3, white marble countertops. White marble countertops, well, if you've watched my channel, I don't even need to do this one, but I'm going to anyways. White marble countertop kitchens are maybe the single most aspirational look in residential design right now. The veining, the elegance, the way it photographs, there's nothing quite like it. And I'm not here to tell you that marble's bad. It's genuinely beautiful. I absolutely love it. What I am here to tell you is that white marble countertops in a working kitchen require you to commit to a lifestyle that most actually don't have. Marble is porous, it's soft, relatively compared to other stone options. It etches. I mean, acidic substances, wine, lemon juice, vinegar, coffee, tomatoes. Basically, they just highlight every little thing that happens in your kitchen. And it doesn't just stain it, it chemically reacts with the surface and leaves a dull mark that sealing can't really prevent. Now, quartz gives you a surface that looks similar, requires no sealing, resists staining, and handles the actual chemistry of a kitchen without flinching. Quartzite is a natural stone, harder and denser than marble, gives you the real stone feel with better durability. These are smarter choices for how most of us actually cook, and that's my opinion. Number 4, pot fillers. Pot fillers are one of those things that look so obviously immensely useful in a showroom that it almost feels irresponsible not to get one. A faucet mounted on the articulating arm above a stove so you can fill a pot directly at the burner without carrying water across the kitchen. It's genius, right? Well, guess what? You still have to drain the pot. So you still have to carry it to the sink, which means the only task that actually was eliminated is carrying the heavy pot one direction. And for most home cooks, that happens maybe twice a week on pasta night. Every other trip to the stove, the pot filler just hangs there, looking decorative. And they're not cheap. Installation runs anywhere from $500 to over $1,500, depending on the plumbing that's already roughed in and the wall location, which usually isn't prepped and ready for that, which means opening in the wall. And then once it's there, it's another fixture with moving parts that can develop drips, leaks, and problems in the future and over a cooking surface. I've talked plenty of homeowners who got a pot filler and genuinely loved it. And I've talked to some who considered it the thing they'd skip if they were redoing their kitchen over. So before you commit, ask yourself honestly, how often do I actually cook pasta or stock at home? And if the answer is once a week or less, there's a strong argument for this money belongs somewhere else in the kitchen. Number 5, oversized statement range hoods. Now, the statement hood has been a focal point of kitchen and renovations for several years now. Giant sculptural forms in plaster, wood, hammered metal, custom built, surrounds that go to the floor, to the ceiling, made out of marble, everything. They look incredible as design centerpieces. They really do. They also create problems that don't show up until you're actually living in the kitchen. The first issue is pure scale. A hood that's sized for a visual drama rather than the actual dimension of the room will dominate everything around it, pulling attention from your countertops, from your backsplash, your hardware, and making a medium-sized kitchen feel like the hood is the only thing in it. Designers have been calling this out increasingly. There's no reason to overpower the space with one standout element. The second issue is function. Many of the most visual, impressive custom hoods sacrifice ventilation. Performance over aesthetics. The shape, the depth, the distance from the cooking surface. When those decisions are made primarily about how something looks rather than how it performs, well, you end up with a beautiful piece. So, poor ventilation means grease and moisture settling on your cabinets, your walls, and every surface in your cooking zone over time. So a well-proportioned hood, sized for your cooktop and your ceiling height, vented properly to the outside rather than recirculating, will serve your kitchen for decades. A statement hood that nobody bothered to size correctly will give you a gorgeous Instagram photo and maybe a greasy kitchen. Number 6, floating shelves as primary kitchen storage. I know, I've talked about this a lot, but a specific version is worth separating out because the conversation has shifted. It used to be about the general idea of open versus closed storage. What I'm seeing now is people going further, using floating shelves not as an accent or a style choice, but as their primary upper storage, removing all upper cabinets entirely. Guys, professional kitchens, the ones with real chefs producing real food at volumes, are almost entirely closed storage. There's a reason for that. Grease and steam travel. Everything on an open shelf in a working kitchen gets coated over time. The things that photograph beautifully, the matching ceramic canisters, the curated cookbook collection, the artful arranged glassware that needs to be cleaned constantly, or they look grimy. And also, upper cabinets hold an enormous amount of stuff. The stand mixer, the big stock pot, the baking sheets, the blender, the 5 appliances you use twice a year but still keep somewhere. When those cabinets disappear, all that stuff has to go somewhere. And it goes onto the countertop where it clutters. The very surface you cleared off so that the open shelves could look good. A few floating shelves in the right place, styled intentionally, genuinely work. Just put some things there you use daily upon the open shelves and keep it. Everything else behind a closed door where the grease can't get in. Number 7, high gloss cabinet finishes. High gloss cabinetry has a real moment, and it's super cool in modern kitchens. That lacquered, almost furniture look where the cabinet fronts are so reflective they shine like a mirror. It's striking in a showroom. It photographs extraordinarily, and it provides richness like no other. And it is genuinely one of the hardest finishes to live with a real family. The problem is physics. A high gloss surface reflects light, which means it also reflects everything else. Every fingerprint, every smudge, every micro scratch, from a door being opened in slightly dirty hands. Within weeks of installation, a real household, glossy lower cabinets near the cooktop can look like one contractor described as a crime scene of smudges. In hot climates with significant sun exposure, high gloss laminate could warp, Listen, beautiful kitchens don't require high maintenance finishes. They require the right finishes for how the space is actually used. And in a kitchen, that means choosing surfaces that handle real life without announcing it every time someone cooked dinner. As always, here's the thing you want to take away from this. None of these trends are inherently bad. Some of them can absolutely work in the right application, the right context, the right household. Just be clear with the idea that your kitchen isn't a photo shoot. It's a room you're going to use every single day for the next 20 years. Build it for that. And it'll look just as good on any random Tuesday as it does on the day it's finished. If you want help making design decisions the right way, go ahead and click that link in the description. We're here at builtbybeckermedia.com, and drop a comment with the kitchen trend you personally regretted. I know a few out there. And if this was useful, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching Built by Becker.